has become customary, I'm going to talk about the skateboard. And last week we talked about, I'll grab it over here. Oh, it's not. That's over here. Sorry. For people who didn't check it. So this was the one I talked about last week, by first prototype shape for Powell Peralta. And then, so I alluded to the other one that was in the room. I'm going to put this down over here. Which was basically, I think number 5 is I think it was the final prototype shape that we ended up with. So here we go. I'm going to go grab it. And it is, so this is pretty much, it's pretty similar to the one I talked about last week, but they wanted to differentiate it a little bit from the Lance Mountain shape, because that was the whole premise, just to catch people up. I wanted something that was like Lance Mountain's shape, but with a longer nose and a squared off nose. So that's what we started with. And they said, well, we need to make it a little different so that it doesn't get confused with Lance's boards. So, okay. So what they added was, rather than just having the tail, just like Lance's kind of flared back out, they added a little side cut to it. And I figured, to me, it didn't matter so much because it was more about how wide it was at my front foot and how wide it was at my back foot. And so I just said, hey, if you could, whatever you can come up with that you think that will make it different enough from Lance's board to matter, and that's what they came up with it. And so here it is, and it's written in black on black, A5. I think it says A5. AD 5. Yes. Black ballpoint pen on a blackboard. And yes, it is made out of bonite. But see, this one fared pretty well. And this one went through a bunch of, went on tour and went to Japan. And so, while we're on that note, you can kind of see this Japanese sticker on there. So let's have a look-see here. This is the board so it's featured in my good friend Yoshiro Higai, a nice book in Japan and called Judoware, and he was kind enough to feature me in here from the tour, Bones Brigade tour of 87, yeah. And so there's the board, there's me doing the Judoware, because that's all I got. That was there we go, one trick pony. It's always a Judoware, so. But hey, I guess it could be worse, right? It definitely could be worse. But yes, so Yoshiro Higai, his really fabulous photos in Japan and elsewhere. There's nice shots of Lance on that tour and Stevie. This demo that we were doing was in a disco. Yes, in a disco with pretty much only the disco ball lighting and flashing lights going off, and we're skating a very narrow and small plexiglass ramp in a disco with disco music and no lighting. But it was really fun, and it's all about memories. So I have a couple other shots of me in Japan riding that board. This one was actually the last night we were in Japan, and I think this is called the LA Club, maybe, perhaps. But it was a skate park, an indoor skate park. It was the park and a billiard room all in the same building. But what's funny is that everything in the park was like miniature in order for it to fit there. So they had a vert ramp that was like 6 feet high. So it was like a shrunk down big ramp. So it looked just like a big ramp, but it was only like 6 feet high. But it went to vert and it had extensions. It was very, very cool. And then this thing that I'm riding is, I think, all of 3 feet high. But that was our last night there. Oh yeah, you can see if it's backwards though, Los Angeles. So it was the Los Angeles Club, and everything was miniature. And so we tried to stay up all night so that we could sleep on the plane trip home. So we figured, well, we'll just skate all night. And we skated well into early morning. And of course, the only one that was able to sleep on the plane was Steve Caballero, because Stevie can sleep anywhere. He could fall asleep anywhere. So Lance and I, not so much, on our 11-hour flight back from Japan. But I've since learned to be able to sleep anywhere. I'm really good at sleeping now. So here's another shot. You can actually see the board, the experimental graphic. This was on a very narrow and tall plexiglass ramp, probably from the late 70s, I would imagine, but was also on a boat in Yokohama Harbor, and skated there with Mitsugu Toyota. I'm trying to get the glare off of there. But that was really, really cool, and kind of surreal. The ramp was a little bit uneven because, as you can imagine, it's on a boat, so the deck of the boat is already kind of like that, convex, and then of course it's not quite level all across, and so one side of the ramp you would hang up on because it was tilted like that, and the other side you would land at the bottom. So you kind of had to figure it out. That, and trying not to go flying off the side of this very narrow plexiglass thing. But at any rate, it was really fun, and the people on the boat were great. And then this is I don't know if you can see it. Tatsuya Okudaira took those photos. So thank you, Tatsuya, for sending me those photos and contributing to my memories of riding this board in Japan with Lance Mountain and Steve Caballero, and and Kevin Harris was with us on that tour too. So poor Kevin Harris had to skate his freestyle demo on a very slippery surface on the top of that boat in Yokohama Harbor. But the trooper, he did his best, and he still was great, because Kevin Harris is one of the best skateboarders of all time. You may not know, because he makes everything look so easy that you don't realize how hard it is what he's doing. Yes, freestyle's really hard, and for someone like Kevin Harris to make it look that easy is something else. I know Kevin is I think Stacy Peralta's favorite skater too, because of that, just being able to glide and make it look like he was skating on ice, no friction. So anyway, so there's skate story for today. About that board. I don't think there's anything else to know about, although that's pretty much being the last prototype. If I were, if I had gotten a model while I was still on Powell, that was probably the shape it was going to be, at least the first one. So that's okay. And of course, I don't regret having the boards that I did with the House of Kasai and Tracker, because that definitely was really important to me, and it was a nice small group of us, had a lot of control over things, and of course just good friends. So that's what it's all about. Cheers to everybody. I'm gonna have a sip here.